After discussing with Cabinet and caucus, after consultation with premiers from all provinces and territories, after speaking with opposition leaders, the federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations.
I'm not sure whether all available existing powers that the governments, both at the local and provincial, and indeed at the federal level, have, were actually used. It seems to me that the government was fairly successful in clearing out the problems at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor. It seems to me that most of these other protests around the country have been diffused relatively quickly. The only place where there seems to have been a problem was Ottawa. I don't really fault the Ottawa police chief. I see that he's resigned. At this point, there is more that the federal government could have done, whether that would mean bringing in the troops to help out, or some provincial jurisdiction. Certainly, though, it seemed a bit of an extreme overreaction as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't want to look like he's capitulating to mob mentality. So he, after a few days after he's invoked these emergency acts to clear out the protesters, he wants to soften the blow by announcing some modification of the restrictions. In my opinion, he did the right thing for the wrong reasons. And people are just, goddamn sick and tired of restrictions and endless prohibitions on them living their lives the way they want to do so. If there is a problem of capacity in the healthcare system, which seems to have been driving a lot of the ostensible rationale, although it seems to be the case that the ICUs and the hospitalizations are also coming down. But if that's the rationale, a massive overreaction and constitutes a huge failure of government on the part of the Trudeau administration. Look, right from the start, I think he's handled this very badly. These people aren't all racists. People that call themselves liberals, and I consider myself one of them, they have tried in the last several years, not just in the instance of COVID, to shut down debate, reasoned discourse by simply hurling a charge of you're a racist, or you're a transphobe, or you're a fascist, and that's so there isn't a discussion. And then we get censorship, calls for censorship, calls for cancellation. It's fundamentally illiberal. That is getting worse and worse. And now it's starting to manifest itself in the realm of government, because you're getting these elites who have basically had the whole show to themselves. We've had technocratic elitist government that's an increasingly prominent feature of our so-called democracies for over 40 years. And they don't know how to respond to legitimate protests. And so they have implemented these extraordinary powers. The pandemic gave us this reason to grant unparalleled powers to the government, and it becomes like a reflex action. Once you start using it, it becomes easier the next time, and then there's less of an inclination to give those powers up. And what should be happening is that you provide some sort of an exit ramp to people so that they can go back and live their lives again. And I fear that ultimately this could rebound very, very sharply against the Trudeau government. And it may seem very reasonable to come after these truckers. But what happens next time if it's a protest you support? There's a lot of people that supported the First Nations people that had pipeline protests, and a lot of environmentalists supported that. What happens if you have, say, a conservative government next time, and it implements the same measures because it says that we're about to experience a significant energy crisis, and we can't have these people blocking up a pipeline, even though there have been grave concerns about it. And now we're going to start cutting off your sources of funding and deprive you of all sorts of other support measures that you get from the government. I think it's a terrible precedent.
When you got Sail